Everybody for coming. It's pretty good turnout. My name is Gabe Vila. I'm the chair of the Planning and Development Committee. Nicole DeFreitas is also a member, and Trish McCarty is also a member. So thanks for coming. To start, I just have a couple quick things to say, mostly about the purposes of the committee and why we call this meeting today. And then I just have general questions that I'd like to get feedback on. Feel free to raise your hand, stand up, do whatever, and you're welcome to speak. And then we'll alternate questions from the committee and then just open comment from the floor, if everyone's okay with that. So on Monday or Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday, I got an email from the Sandusky Register just with some questions about this committee and the meeting. So I thought I'd share what my response was. Some of it was included in the Register's coverage. So what's the purpose of the Planning and Development Committee? My response is, the committee's purpose is to consider and take action on legislative items impacting the city of Port Clinton's approach to community development. So why host a public meeting to discuss strategies for the community? As with all committee meetings, they are open public meetings for community members to attend. In this particular case, I hope to encourage discussion about the many initiatives underway, both live opportunities and those being considered by the committee now and in the future. I look forward to listening to people's thoughts on important topics. By dedicating 2 meetings for this before the end of the year, I hope people will have the opportunity to attend and share ideas and perspectives, keeping in mind the results of the recent election. We have some specific topics to discuss, but the committee members will welcome all topics related to economic development citywide. The third question is, what is your committee's goal? And I think the goal of the committee's work is to strengthen the city's position economically, socially, and culturally. How can this meeting benefit the city and residents? My response: idea generation, discussion, collecting feedback from residents can benefit the community when important decisions are made in the future. Ultimately, ideas will take the form of real-world projects like the 2nd Street reconstruction. So open discussion like this can only help improve confidence in the city's operations and results. The last question was open. It was, is there anything else you think I should know? My response was, some people suggest via Facebook these meetings should not take place. Rather, they think it is best to wait to hold such information gathering sessions until January when newly elected officials take their seats. I appreciate that perspective, I do. But I feel that useful discussion and learning can take place between November 3rd and December 31st that will be of value to the committee, community, and council members, both present and future. Council is still holding meetings, committees are still meeting, and we are still on the city's payroll. So I think we should do the work we were elected to do. So I have the first question, unless any of my committee members have anything to say. In a previous Planning and Development Committee meeting, we talked about downtown parking requirements for new businesses. There's a change in use in existing properties, say from residential to commercial, or vice versa. It kicks in automatic parking provisions where a new business owner, for example, has to provide X number of parking spots based on multitude of factors, what goes into building capacity and the use. So what we've discussed, and Mr. Freitas' son, who had researched this and is a smart guy, said that some communities are foregoing those and letting business owners and property owners figure that out themselves instead of the city mandating those based on the formula, which some research says is maybe not the best use of people's time. So we're discussing eliminating those, and with the idea of strengthening the attractiveness of downtown and letting business owners figure that out for themselves. So that's the first topic I'd like to discuss and hear what anybody might like to say about it. Mrs. Clemens.
Does it have a boundaries, what are the boundaries for this, or is it citywide?
So there's no boundaries yet, but what we were discussing is the central business district. So what's considered the traditional downtown. So Perry Street, Madison Street, Monroe Street, Adams Street, on the other side,
Would
Monroe
that be
Street,
Adams Street
second.
to the river?
Well, Adams Street doesn't touch the river, but Adams Street to Perry Street? Yeah.
Okay, Waterworks Park area.
No, we've been talking about this as the geography stands today, where Adams Street doesn't go into Waterworks Park, but I understand where you're going.
Okay.
No, it's just what streets exist now, and could changes be made to make it a little bit easier to attract new business or investment. Mr. Rich?
Jonathan Rich, Port Clinton, Ohio. I wanted to correct my email to county, or to the city representatives. I lived at 114 Washington Street for over 20 years, not 110. My wife was a little upset that I couldn't remember that. So I've been involved with this for, since it started, since Mr. Schaffner's committee started it up. I'll just keep it to three things that I think are really important. I think when we talk about boundaries and everything, at one time, council passed the overlays, and I'm wondering if you guys are familiar with the overlays, or are they still in place and still legal? Binding what they will be, and that's one.
The name, I know we talked about this on the phone, but the name of the overlay, I know it exists today. There's a map up in the conference room here today.
Okay, so.
I know that still exists.
Yeah, so they kind of did the overlays to sort of give guidance on what uses they wanted in certain areas. And the community voted and turned Waterworks Park into, commercial property. Yet all of us still refer to it as Waterworks Park because that's still what it is until, it starts to become something else. And it'll still be probably Waterworks Park or renamed to some other park at a future date. But within the scope of the development, or
Mr. Rich, can we save that for later? I do have Waterworks Park as a question, but could we just
yeah, I'm
start
going off
on?
of that right now.
Could we just
I'm
start?
done with that. I'm done with Waterworks Park.
What about parking downtown?
What I wanted to say was downtown, under the original thought of Madison Street, 2nd Street to the Viaduct and all of that, I just want to make sure that that's included in any, as I talked about, in any new development where we want to attract developers or, parking or something like that. I just would like tax increment financing to be looked at because of the increased property values that would be dumped into the city's overview of, revitalization. So I'll talk about revitalization area being encompassed from, the lakefront, the riverfront, the Viaduct, Adams Street, and Harrison. That's my understanding. If it's different than that, okay. The other one was, I really would like the committee and council to look at medical tourism. It's something we ought to be involved in. If you ever watched any of the football games that are on, at least the Big Ten, you see them pop up where the schools are at. They pop up on a map, and it looks pretty cool. It's in 3D. Well, there's a company now that's advertising for medical tourism where they come in and help developers, or be assistants, or maybe completely take over, I'm not sure. I just went to the website today for the first time, or last night, I can't remember. But we have other properties like across from the courthouse, that'd be a beautiful spot too. The school has it now, but for, let's say a renal center that would, for dialysis, that would bring in, higher paying jobs, and people would come here and, spend the night, a couple days. I talked to Mr. Belo. My 8th grandchild was born at the Cleveland Clinic, and Ronald McDonald House and surrounding motels accommodate the people that go to Cleveland Clinic. So as healthcare develops and the demographics change, which the country's getting older, I think, medical tourism is a real good thing here because we have the lake. So people that are waiting for their loved ones having dialysis, they can enjoy, the many amenities that we have and are underused. The last point was, if I could read my own writing, was the overlay, so I already covered that. Thank you.
Sure.
As
Mr.
far
Freeman.
as far as the parking goes, are you talking about like foregoing like ADA compliance for parking?
No, number of parking spots. I'll clarify. Number of parking spots that say, if a building changed from a single business to say a motel.
Okay.
Not that I know that this is in the works, I'm just saying, if you do a change of use, it triggers that you have to provide, as a business owner, you need to secure somewhere, by a combination of on the street and say behind your business, a certain number of parking spots.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify, make sure that wasn't something about handicap spaces.
No, there's nothing we'd be able to do
Yeah,
about
'cause
changing our.
that's
ADA
federal
requirements for
law,
business.
so that's
Yeah.
why I asked.
No, it's just what falls within the jurisdiction of the city, which would be mandating the number of parking spots or not, based on building occupancy and other.
Right, that clarifies
Yeah.
mine.
There's so many tables and
Yeah.
that kind of thing, there's to be so many parking spots for that.
Gabe, real quick.
Yes,
Yeah, I own Underwood, I'm Shorty. Quick question. Underwood's been around a long time, but we're putting the apartments that were originally there back upstairs. Now, does that go under the original building? Or does that fall somewhere in limbo where I have to account for different parking for that?
so,
Originally, those buildings had apartments in them.
yeah,
Then Bob took over the apartments because he needed to make his kitchen bigger, and he got rid of the apartments. They're there, but like ancient. And, but no, I'm gonna do is gut it and redo it.
so I understand your question, and as far as implementing what exists now for parking lot requirements, I get to say, talk to Chief Johnson, because he's in charge of actually implementing that.
Okay.
So I wish I had an answer for you, but
Oh,
if I could, I'll
we
just
should
direct
too.
you there, sorry.
We've
Mr.
got some great information on parking that's been talked about in the past too, is there's a lot of parking like the city owns. I think they still own a little parking lot next to, I think it used to be H&R Block, but it was some kind of tax thing. There's a little parking lot there that I believe the city owns, and there's a lot of other parking back in that area off of that terrible alley on Madison Street. So, you know, if let's say buildings went away or something, there could be like centralized parking, and behind Underwoods, there's a lot of parking that's not used for, you know, the Key Bank and whatever is on the other side of the alley, there's parking there too. So I would think whoever owns it would either, you know, make an accommodation for that, rent that, lease that, the city would purchase it as a central parking thing. So you would have more parking available on the street for money generation, even though money generation in apartments is there. Obviously, where we would get them off the street, and they'd be back behind, have them more, in case a restaurant opened up, they could park there. So there's all kinds of ways to look at, you know, parking in that regard.
Just in that regards, yeah, we already have permission from the original owner. The building is for sale. All that could change because of VFW, a lot of people still use that parking, have no problem. So that is something to think about with the city because it's for sale. Whoever buys that property, when and if, that could all change about being allowed to park there without being towed.
Is it the whole parking lot on that
All
side
of
of the
it.
alley? Okay.
John owns it all and he's ready to get out and, yeah, blah, 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 so, but it could.
Sorry,
alter.
what property are you talking about?
Key Bank.
Behind, next to Key Bank.
Behind Underwoods, right?
Correct.
Yeah, it's sort of, you know, that double parking lot. You got the alley
Yeah.
going between it.
I believe that all belongs to Key Bank, doesn't it? As of right now, I'm pretty sure it does.
Any other comments or suggestions about downtown parking requirements?
Yeah, I think that it has to be approached with great care, and especially given the plans that are in place and may be in place in the future. And that is, you know, if downtown takes off, and after, you know, buildings are renovated and everything, and more businesses move down there, then obviously that's gonna require more parking. And if, as some people are talking about development, retail development in Waterworks Park, if that were to happen, then there would be plenty of parking down there for those businesses. So if you have a small amount of parking downtown and people can pull up close to the businesses down at Waterworks Park, they're probably gonna go to Waterworks Park businesses and stay away from downtown. Possibility, and that's all I have to say.
What about the city mandate that's in place now? Do you think that makes sense, or try without it for a couple of years and see.
I'm
how
not
it
familiar
goes.
with the mandates, I don't know what they are.
2 AM parking, is that what you're referring to, or?
No, just the number of spots that are provided for new businesses downtown, that the businesses themselves have to provide.
Oh, okay, is that outside of their employees? Okay.
Well, you kind of want people to come and walk downtown anyway, so the number of spots, you should have some less spots, you get everybody walking downtown so they can get, a shot to look at all the different stores downtown. Get them in the stores, get people, where some people are in the middle of revitalizing their stores and trying to do something with the storefront. Go a little above and beyond, create a whole environment here. You know, the whole parking spot thing, you kind of want more space for, you want people to come down and walk through the town. You don't want them to come and just park. It just gets them to walk from one store, they park as close as they can, get back in their car. You kind of want them to have a spot, I don't know where it would be, where they can get kind of close, but it forces them to walk downtown. But not as like a bad, like, I'm making you walk that far, because we want you to check out what we have to offer in Portland. You know, maybe approach from that aspect a little bit, or get some people to think about looking from that, you know. If you're trying to get people in your businesses downtown, you want them to walk the whole length and get everybody to work together, you know what I mean? So, it goes a little bit with that, I guess, revitalization and the amount of spots.
And that's kind of the new school of thought on zoning and stuff, is to a more walkable downtown and stuff.
Yes.
Mrs. Swanson.
How many spots will we be losing when phase 2 comes in?
So Madison
Is
Street
that the purpose of
reconstruction.
this? And
I don't know the number off the top of my head.
we're losing space.
Well, I originally heard that they could angle it and still not, increase the angle but not have to lose spots. I'm not too sure. I can check on that.
I would say I would rather see more handicap spots downtown, because us younger folks, we can walk, man. We can park at Waterworks Park and walk. You know, and get some more handicap spots down there, so it gives people that actually need it a place to park, and then they can decide to use their energy that they're gonna use up from Waterworks Park to get in downtown, use it to walk around downtown. Maybe that's a way to go a little bit.
Has anybody in the room that relies on handicap parking or knows somebody that does? Has anybody shared that complaint with you, or do you have that complaint?
Mr. Buell?
Yeah.
I've had, family members that have passed recently that had the handicap thing hanging from their window, which is great, but there's a segment of the community like myself with bad knees and a bad back, and demographics are changing where the population is getting older. So and my wife is notorious for riding around a grocery store and finding that close spot and getting in and getting out. So there's nothing wrong with getting in and getting out, because you're getting in, buying something and getting out. You know, we had parking meters, you know, that generated money, but you want to see that turnover. But, you know, if you don't have the ability to walk, you know, we can walk this whole town, because it's not that long. I gave up drinking and driving a long time ago, because you can realize you can walk the whole town.
Progress, sir. Good job.
Thank you. You can, you know, literally walk the town if you're in good shape. We have a lot of walkers, but people that can't need access to those buildings. So, you know, we don't want to keep them all, you know, walking a mile.
There's a woman behind you, Shorty. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we lost 8 parking spaces when they removed the traffic light at the intersection of Madison and 2nd. So I would venture to guess, once the renovation of the streets is complete, we'll regain those spaces. Now there's 1 handicap parking space on Madison, on the corner where that horrible building is, no, across the street from Green's. There's 1 handicap parking space, whereas before there was 2. So I would think that we'll gain 8 parking spaces, and my understanding from everything that I was told is that the way they're gonna angle the spots on the street on Madison, we won't lose any parking. So we could possibly gain those 8 parking spaces back.
Thank you.
I would love, as a community member, to see the stoplight put back in, because the flashing red, I don't know how many times people here have seen people just go right through them. You really have to be careful, especially when you got kids. People just drive right through them. They don't know the difference between flashing yellow and flashing red. If we could.
That makes me nervous.
If we could, it makes me very nervous. You know, car seats, I've got a granddaughter had been in a car seat on her stomach. So, you know, to replace that one, and if you're addressing stoplights, Jefferson and 6th where the school is, it's just, it's ridiculously backed up during school hours. With the buses, you know, we've designed the schools are fine, but the bus route and the traffic is terrible. And same way it's the elementary, they're lined up forever. So if you had a little cart selling something, that's where you want to be, because you can get out, buy something, and do something. So seeing those
Squeegee
lights
guys
back,
walking up and down.
seeing those lights back, from my understanding, it was the cost of the poles. Because, you know, Ohio Edison, whoever does our lighting, you know, so when we were talking about carryover and investment, and pedestrian traffic, I would think, because, you know, they got the walk signs and the stop signs, that doesn't work real well with flashing lights. So we kind of just go, come on, go ahead, come on, go ahead. We're a small town, and, you know, it'd be nice to see the lights change, that's all, in my opinion.
There been any accidents at that intersection?
I'm sure there has
Just with some
been.
close ones.
Chief, do you have
Chief
anything?
Eppin, do you have an idea?
There's very minor accidents. There is still a stop sign there, so a stop sign means stop.
4 ways.
Just thought I'd add that.
That's true, but when you have pedestrians, they have to wait longer because there's not that long red light and long green light. Because it's a 4-way stop, you gotta play jigsaw puzzle with everybody that's going by, make eye contact, and they wave you by.
That's all right. Hey, here in a little bit, we're gonna cherish being downtown, and you're gonna wanna stop for a while and let people go through. You know, that should be the goal.
Well, there should be time to let the elderly cross the
That's what-
street.
Exactly, but
Well,
that's
and
because that's people that are inconsiderate. They're just obnoxious, they're inconsiderate. Of course, us good-hearted folks are gonna let some people that need a little bit of extra time cross the street. Yes, we're gonna do that. We should think about the building blocks of downtown, man. Go above and beyond. And downtown, the stoplight and stuff, and how we're talking about parking, here's a perfect example. You asked about, people that need a little extra time. That was a click. Hey, I just had back surgery, an anterior back fusion 2.5 months ago. I would love to have a handicapped spot to park, but at the same time, when I'm healthy enough, I'll walk from Waterworks Park. So it's all a little relative here. You know what I mean? Like,
Free
let's
country.
get some traction of working together a little bit, man. Let's all do that. You know, that should be the main thing. We should go back to the building blocks of working together to see downtown shine. There is a lot we can do.
Absolutely.
I just want to speak in defense of the flashing red light. I love it. I drive uptown, I walk uptown, I have no trouble. Everybody stops, they go in order, and I can walk through a lot faster than I could if there were traffic.
And when Second Street, that phase goes in, that's gonna be narrowed, so it's gonna be, you know, that's being addressed with Second Street, making that distance shorter.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
That was one, I was on the committee that helped come up with all this, you know, the stuff on Madison, and that was one thing that we addressed. What's that stuff? And then I'll make some of that.
Mrs.?
Kelly Rodoni,
We're going.
downtown business. My question is, will the angled parking make it safer to be able to see better, to pull out? And as addressed just earlier about the 4-way stops, flashing light, considering we're right there, we can see many people who do not stop at that traffic light. You don't have time to pull out because it seems like a drag strip. And it is kind of unsafe to not have an actual signal. And I've caught myself, other friends, you stop, but then when you get to the next block, which is Jefferson Street, and it has a working light, you almost kind of get confused thinking it's just a blinking light because we're so used to it being a local, being here for a long time. Will that change when the streets get changed around to make it a little bit safer and to give time for people to actually back out? The flow of traffic seems to be continuous and there's no time to really pull out because people are just continually going through that stop sign, even though it is a stop sign.
It's like turning left off of 3rd Street underneath the viaduct. I mean, that's almost, you know, take your life in your own hands.
I mean, is there someone doing not a study, but actually able to sit in, I mean, I was in our shop the other day and I just watched about 30, 40 cars within a half hour blow right through it. And I'm thinking, if there was a little kid crossing, if one of my children, what can change to make that a safer intersection?
We'll defer your question to the safety service. What's the name of the committee?
Emergency services.
Emergency services.
Yeah.
Well, the police department used to have a car hanging around in that area. You know, they'd cruise through town like they always do. And then the officer would park, and I'm sure I visibly saw them give tickets out to people that went through the flashing stop or rolled through. So that wouldn't be too bad to bring them back.
Okay, folks, I understand some of your concerns, just like we have speed limits in town that not everybody follows. A stop sign is still a stop sign. Pedestrians still have the right of way.
Right.
We have officers, if somebody complains, they sit down there.
Right.
Just shy of stopping traffic altogether, I mean, we do live in today's society. People break the law.
But
We
as she,
can't catch them all.
as she said though, there's not like a 30-second
It's not a
available time backing up
pause.
because it's constant. It's almost a rolling stop. You know,
Chief,
I'm
I
here,
appreciate
you
your
go,
comments.
you
We're
go.
gonna move to the next topic. It's 7:26. That was fun.
It's all good.
This is the point of having a meeting like this, actually. I'll ask one more question from the committee, and then we'll turn it over, after questions, to any open topics that people want to talk about. Earlier this year, the Planning Development Committee meeting included a presentation and discussion with the Greater Port Clinton Area Arts Council. We discussed the value in public art installations across the city, not just downtown, although I think that's mostly what we discussed. They presented what they would view as a strategic plan and an ideal state, how they would like to implement such a art strategy, I guess, public art strategy. We haven't taken any action on it, but I wanted to get your thoughts as a community, what your thoughts would be if, say, small numbers of public funds would be made available to improve the conditions, starting in downtown, say, through public art installations of various types. Mr. Jessup.
Okay, so I think this is a really good jumping off point for me. What's everybody consider Port Clinton or this area? It's vacation land, right? People want to come here and let their hair down and have a good time. So you have to bring it back, and you'll hear this common thing from me tonight, is bring it back to the basics. If you want to build an amphitheater somewhere, or you want people to come downtown, you have to breed that culture, correct? How are you going to breed a culture if nobody supports downtown's businesses or music? You know, it goes for the same for the business owners. They can go out a little bit above and beyond. I see, you know, outside of Slater's or something, there could be a really nice somebody doing some kind of music on his guitar. You pay him $50 for a couple hours, but you do that all over the city. It all creates that environment. That beach, the volleyball net, right? That's on the beach. Somebody had said to me before, maybe it used to be behind the high school. It was never used before. You know how many people I saw on the beach playing volleyball? You know, and those little bit of people are the younger generation. They want to do stuff like this. You know, we don't have money, man. We don't have the greatest jobs. But what we do want to do is enjoy our time with a little amount of some funds as possible. So you got to add some free stuff. A buddy of mine said he tried to offer frisbee golf. Does anybody know what frisbee golf is here? Okay, frisbee golf is a really amazing, fun thing, man, and it gets people going. You do realize they have one at East Harbor State Park. They have a golf course at Tiffin, anywhere, Bowling Green. It's a big thing for the people that don't know what it is, and it's very fun. And a buddy of mine said he rode in a couple times. He even had a plan, and I don't know how long ago this was, so I can't say who was on council or where it was, and I don't think he's here at the moment. But he said he had a plan, and now imagine this: it's like golf. So you got your 18 holes, but you could just develop 9 at first, and it's in the park. You kind of make your way through the park, kind of golfing, and then you make your way across the street to the beach, and then you go the back way, all the way downtown. It would get people walking your beaches. It would get people having fun. Those 150 people, 200 people that come out to do a Frisbee golf tournament, they're going somewhere else from here. And this is a simple thing you could put in the park with the right motivation from the right people. You know, the right people have to step forward. So that's another thing. We have to create, and what I'm getting at is we have to create this environment in Port Clinton. The environment of together, we can accomplish a lot more than we can fighting each other, right?
Yep.
So if I want something, if I have an idea and I want to come out and I have this great idea and I've really put time into it, effort, and I have plans, and I bring it to the council, we need to figure out a way to have a streamlined process for people that say, I love your idea, let's make it work, right? If you're willing to take the lead, if you can go get support for it, let's make it work. And that's what we're all trying to do. We need to get back to this. We are a community. Go look it up for yourselves online. There's plenty that all of a sudden said, what can we do? We started think tanks of stuff people wanted to do. You know, how many people here are here because they either saw me post something on Facebook or because I asked them? I know there's a couple people in here, and I think there's a couple people out there. So if you reach out a little bit, people want to respond. You know, I'm going to be back on the first with the same kind of message, you know, where we have to breed the culture of togetherness. You start at the peak, like, I'll give football as an example. The flag football program and the Little Braves, and we've seen it all the way up with the high school program this year. They're doing amazing things. But if we don't come together as a community and we don't sit our foot down and say, we are standing for something different, this is a different wave, coming through Port Clinton. Our members of this football team are going to get out. They're going to see that no matter what they try, people shoot it down. They're this bah humbug attitude of a Port Clinton. That should be our goal. Let's lift that attitude back up, because there's all-stars that are graduating now, and there's going to be all-stars graduating the next year, but they're all going to leave because they don't feel Port Clinton's doing anything to listen to them. You know what I mean? We have to breed that culture of no matter what plans you have, whether it be an amphitheater, you have the greatest business ever, and you make your effort and nobody comes, it's because nobody else is supporting you. You know, it doesn't matter the amphitheater. What, you think people are going to come listen to bands they don't know because you just built an amphitheater? No, man, you got to get out on the feet. You got to go door to door and say, hey, please come support my event. Man, use somebody like me. Use a mouthpiece like me. I can go out and talk to plenty of people, and I'm willing to do that. But I need your help too. I can't do this alone, people. I really can't. I need the help of the community just as much as they need my help. But can we work together? Can we get back? What if downtown, every shop had a nice lighting arrangement outside, so when it's downtown, the whole lights lighten up like it's Christmas, but something crazy. You know, get that beach town environment where people want to come downtown. You got to breed that environment of what's going on this weekend. I don't know. Let's go to Port Clinton. They are always doing something unique and fun. We get back to that and we contribute to the vibe of vacation land. We stop them going from Put in Bay. They can go there too, but they're coming back to Port Clinton because we put on a better show than Put in Bay does. We do it better than everywhere else around. And we are all involved in that movement, myself included. I haven't been around before, but I'm here now, and I'm putting myself out there. And I want more people to jump on board of, let's work together as a community, because I'm going to do what I can to breed fun in this community, to have a good time, to say, I don't need all the money. I don't need to go to the bank to make some kind of deal, because I'm going to walk up to somebody and say, hey, I know you're struggling. I got this idea. How about we work something out, and I'll come out and play some music or whatever the case is. Whatever you can use to give your business a competitive advantage, it makes other people do it too. Don't be afraid because what people are going to say. Have anybody been into Moonwicks yet? I haven't. You know what place I'm talking about, Moonwicks?
I do.
From what I hear people knocking it down because it's whatever it is. Like, I heard some other, like, crazy witchcraft or whatever. It's like, man, these guys got a really cool thing going on. I can't wait to get in that store and see it. I've been down and out, but I want to do that with every single store and every single bar, and there is plenty more to come. I mean, there is ideas after ideas, and we can all commit ourselves to doing this together. I will listen to your ideas, and I'll listen to you shoot down my ideas. But I'm big enough to change. If I'm wrong, I will graciously say, I am wrong, that's awesome, how can I help? But I'm looking for the same from you guys. If you're stuck in the way that you used to be stuck in, this is a new wave, man. Does anybody feel the energy getting ready to explode out of Port Clinton if we can do it the right way?
Absolutely. I'm on probiotics now, and I'm telling you, it's the best thing I've ever been introduced
Hey.
to. I think the Frisbee golf could go in next year.
It
because
could.
There's very little money involved, and it can happen. A canoe livery between here in Oak Harbor and Clyde swinging.
And you know what you do? And listen, the last thing I want to say with this whole thing is you get to see people walking around in your town. What happens when a tourist comes in and you just see people beating their feet to the pavement, man, or they're out on the beach, or they're downtown and they're doing amazing things.
Mr.
It gets
Jesse,
more
thank you.
people to come
I
in.
just want to move, Mr.
Sorry, go
Shepard,
ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to mention, first of all, when you just got started, I had to ask these two girls, I said, did you guys go out and play frisbee golf? And they said, sure, yeah, we're in.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
And you know what? This,
Yes, we do.
we're talking about the future of Port Clinton, and
Yes.
I don't represent future Port Clinton. These
Yes,
young
and
people around
I
the table,
represent
they
some, but
represent
it's gonna be these kids right here that represent us in the future. And if they come to these meetings and they say, all I hear is bickering and people complain about this and they're never getting stuff done, what do you think they're gonna do? But if they hear me saying we work together for better, they're gonna come out after that and say, I wanna work with somebody like him because he can help me advance and we can advance this community together. And that's all we need to do. We get it back to those basics of working together. I promise you, if you make effort, this place will take off. It really will. You won't have to put condos up at Waterworks Park because you'll be able to do all kinds of stuff other than letting condos. I mean, we have a beautiful area here. Let's embrace it and let's work together to get some stuff done.
Thank
It's
you,
not
Mr.
fair to everybody.
Thank you. Mr. Ritter, back.
So I definitely don't want to take away from the enthusiasm. That's really awesome. I mean, that's great to hear. Anybody, I mean, in our community, we need more of that. That's great.
I hope you want to talk about public art.
Yeah, I do. I just wanted to get back to the subject and ask if there's any kind of specifics. I mean, an art,
No.
just an art
It's an
installation.
open question.
Gotcha. Okay. I definitely think it's very important, especially if we're going to be a community where there's people that are going to be walking around.
Yes.
And I heard earlier where it was discussed where especially younger folks are able to kind of walk at a further distance and kind of explore, I mean, all the different shops and everything. I think that public art is definitely important because that also draws people into certain areas where they wouldn't. Especially for any kind of larger pieces, there's plenty, I mean, a lot of buildings downtown that are kind of run down that could definitely, it could use something like that.
Yes.
Some kind of swooping up where,
I think what you did on Second Street to what was once a vacant building was great.
so something like that
I'd
where,
love to see that on every vacant building down.
and,
Yes.
If the owners would allow it.
and also just kind of talk about that is that for the art walk, a lot of people didn't really go down that way. Like they were kind of stuck on Madison Street. And they would, I mean, kind of travel a little bit, but there wasn't a whole lot of people that were going down that way. And we have a lot of really good shops like the Keith Fleming Gallery, the Blue Door, where it's a staple for art in Port Clinton. And it kind of got people to go that way and see that and also go across the street. I think a lot more installations like that would definitely bring people into the nooks and crannies of a lot of the different shops other than just the ones on Madison Street.
It will.
I have a question. Can you don't have to tell specifics, but like can you give an estimate of a cost for what a project like that is? I know that was a double width building, say, but just so we have an idea of scale.
So that was actually on glass, and
Yeah.
and it wasn't ever meant to be a permanent installation. It stayed on there for a while, but I had a budget of, I think it was $80. I think is all it was. I mean,
It was
Is that
much
in
more than
Second
that.
Street?
Thank you.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I'm just saying that there's a lot of things like that doesn't really take a whole lot of money that could draw people. Like even something that's not even meant to be permanent. I know that there's been a lot of talks in the past that I haven't been a part of for like the Friendship Mural. It's amazing art, it's amazing talent that's being put into it. But there's also a lot of other smaller things that also could be done to kind of bring people to catch their eye, you know. I mean,
Mrs. Davenport, thanks.
Oh, thanks. To go with what Matt was saying, I do agree with what Matt's saying because I grew up here, and then I moved away, and I've been all over the place, and then I came back. And I bank at Key Bank. So one day, my first day here, I drive down and I see Matt's, I didn't know who you were, but I saw this awesome mural on this glass and was like, whoa, what is this? What is this cool place coming in? What's going on here? And that's really how I
found out about you and who you are was just asking, what is this? But then it's like, it stops there.
Yes.
You know, like I thought, oh, cool, Port Clinton's dipping into, you know, we are the younger generation. You have to bring them in. You have to, for us to thrive, and especially people like me who've moved, decide to move back here because we're from here. We can't go to Sandusky for everything. And I'm also speaking for these lovely women next to me, and I will back them up as well. Growing up here, you could go downtown and you could shop. You could, you know, get coffee, you could get dinner, you could buy your school clothes. You could get everything you needed right there downtown. And I've looked into it a lot, and because there is a city in North Carolina, Waynesville, North Carolina, it's in the mountains. Nothing thrives in the mountains, but for some reason, this little small town, it thrives. And I've wondered, why does, you know, why they have a Walmart, you know, I've thought maybe that's why here, when everything downtown went down was when the Walmart got built. But then it's like, no, they have a kitchen store. You could go there to buy kitchen, you know, stuff for your kitchen. You can buy, they have shops downtown. Going downtown right now, we don't really have any shops. We don't have anything to offer people. We have to go to Sandusky, and maybe rent is an issue on that. I don't know. We also have to realize that we go through months in the winter where we don't have tourists. We have to rely on the community. So we need to bring in the community and the tourists, but we need to bring people downtown. And the apartments and condos and that, it's gonna bring more people here, but it's just gonna probably boom Sandusky because they're still gonna go to Sandusky to get their clothes.
Yep. Mr. Friedman.
Just kind of jumping on what they were saying, just little things like lighting on even rundown buildings. You put up cool lighting on them, kind of looks cool. So then you got all these people that are coming back from the jet and can see this crazy lit up downtown. They're gonna stop, they're gonna come back.
Especially in the off season. A big problem we have with lighting is the mayflies at night, you know, late at night.
Well, I get that, but I also go with, you know, if I gotta go to get hunting stuff or something, I'll drive to Bass Pro. If I wanna go shopping, I'll go all the way to Westlake, to Crocker Park. People travel, so the thing that says that we don't have it because we're just a vacation town, people travel, it's crazy. Everybody from Fremont, Oak Harbor, and everybody goes to Sandusky for dinner. Why not have them come here?
Absolutely. Yeah. You gotta create that environment though. And you have to, everybody in Port Clinton has to be willing to go above and beyond. Don't just settle for here, shoot for the stars, and if you make an effort and you actually make that effort and you fall somewhere in between, you will be very happy of what you came up with. But everybody has to do it. If one store does it, everybody goes, look at that sore thumb. If all the stores do it, they go, I want to go downtown at night because they have this crazy light show going on. They're always doing deals. They're always doing something. They create that vibe where you just want to go downtown. You don't want to stay inside. We can do that, and it doesn't take that much money. But it does take cultivating a different mental attitude and intestinal fortitude to say, hey, you know, I'm going to buck the trend. I will help out my community, and we'll do it together, man. I promise you. You guys stick together. It's not build it and they will come. You stick together and you do what you need to do, and you go above and beyond and really let your businesses shine. I promise you. People will come out because people like me will talk all the rage about it. And people will do that. They say how run down it is. If you make it really nice, they will do the exact opposite, and they will say how amazing this place is. And it's simple as that.
Directly to that point, in our family, it's been sold now, but there's a warehouse next to the parking lot on 2nd Street across from the post office, and it's just whitewashed side of a storage unit or whatever it might be. There's a firing range up there years ago and storage underneath. That is, and I offered that up as a mural for whoever wanted to use it when Mayor Brown was here. And it was going to be the VFW mural, or American Legion was going to use it as a mural. So that building had been available. I made it available to the city, 20 years ago. Never acted on, nobody ever did anything. So with that kind of emotion, I could go to someone like you and just put it on. Just like the paintings on the Mural Park, we have artwork displayed at First Federal of the drawbridge, and they've got some beautiful paintings down there. So, change it up on that Mural Park and put some of this artwork that people are getting at First Federal and put it on there and keep it changing. And maybe the new owners of that place might buy into putting something on the side other than, what I wanted to do, just a big billboard and make money off of, leasing the billboard. But I've made it available for a mural, but it was never taken out.
Hey, that's all right, times are changing, right?
Yeah, I
We're gonna
hope
do
so.
something, we are gonna do
Mrs.
something.
Mrs. Ragoni, go ahead. Whose art is on display at the mural park today?
And I'm very honored to have it down there. And I'm
And it's
also.
beautiful.
Thank you. And I'm also honored for the next person to go up because it's a great spot. And I'm looking forward to introducing more art into our area, just as Matt has mentioned. And we, as a younger generation, we're trying every way we can to get more artists involved. We are in a very artistic community at all ages. The Portland Artists Club is an older generation, and they do art because they love it. The Arts Council is mainly made up of people who appreciate art and some artists as well. They're two different groups, but all together we have a very strong artistic community. And like Ann Arbor, which is ridiculously crazy when they do the art shows, we can have that here. The art show in the park this year was amazing, the biggest I've ever seen in my life, and the people came for it. People not in our area. We have tourists all year round. We see it in our store. Every day, someone's from out of town. Every day. We have people coming from Tiffin, from Findlay, from Astoria, from Cleveland, everywhere. I don't consider our town just seasonal because if you have your doors open late, they're coming through our town whether we like it or not. And the more art and the more things that we can give them to do and to see is going to keep them here longer.
I agree 1000%.
Can I just ask, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, just on Kelly's point, I just got back last night from the Ohio Travel Association annual conference. I'm on the board down there in Columbus, and there was a speaker that came in, and one of the statistics was 70% of all retail spending in a destination or in a tourism community is done after 6 p.m. So, I mean, that's very eye-opening for Port Clinton because when you go down there in the evening, there is nothing open. But 70% of the spending is done after 6.
It's
So-
vacation land, everybody wants to
Right.
come here and start going out around that time to see what's going on with your community, you know what I mean? Let's run with it.
Mr. Schaffner, and then I have a question for the group.
Okay, some years ago, I was listening to a radio program from the Ann Arbor Arts and Crafts Festival, which is a gigantic event, as Kelly knows. But it was WJR Radio in Detroit interviewing the director of the Downtown Business Group. And the one thing that, and this like a number of years ago, but the one thing that she said was downtowns long ago stopped being shopping centers. Shopping is being done in malls. Shopping is being done in strip malls and in places like, unfortunately, Walmart.